The Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
It's the front page news.
It's what's trending now.
All right, listen, we got the one and only Dr. M.J. Collier on with us this morning. Now, listen, as of right now, the federal government cannot make you wear a mask on a plane, train, or bus in the United States. Now, a federal judge in Florida said that the CDC overstepped its authority and did not follow the right procedures when it came up with the mask mandate. So none of the major airlines will make you wear a mask. And yesterday, Uber and Lyft said that they won't require masks either.
Yeah, Ricky, a lot of people are happy about having to not wear their mask anymore, but some people are very upset about this. I mean, COVID numbers are going back up again. It's a new variant. I mean, people don't think it's time to switch up.
It's real confusing, Brad, because depending on where you go, you might still have to put on that mask. All the judge basically said is that the federal government can't make you wear a mask, but private businesses and local laws might require it.
All right, we got the one and only Dr. M.J. Collier on with us this morning. What are your thoughts, Dr. Collier, and good morning to you.
And good morning, Rickey Smiley, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this problem here. On Monday, the federal judge, remember, he is politicizing health care by stating that the CDC and the Biden White House overstepped their authority by issuing a mask mandate on planes, trains, and other public transportation. And the immediate response, I mean, within hours, was to drop the mask mandate by several of the airlines, including some mid-flight. In other words, people were required to wear the mask. They boarded the plane. They were in the middle of their trip. The pilot came on and said, you can take the mask off, and people literally took that mask off mid-flight and started cheering and celebrating. And this was absolutely incredible behavior because some people boarded that flight based on decreased risk for the mask requirements. Suppose you had children that had not been able to be vaccinated traveling with you, or if you were a cancer patient, or if you were immune compromised in some way, and you said, well, at least when I get on the plane, you're going to have to wear a mask. Well, now that's not an issue. And amazingly enough, Ricky, the First Lady and I were on a flight yesterday. Dolores and I boarded the flight going from Atlanta to Dallas, and the gate agent immediately announced that masks were not required, even though I did see a lot of people in the airport proper wearing masks going to the gates. Once they got to the gate, she announced that they didn't have to wear masks. But more importantly, she also said, after that announcement, don't harass people who make the personal choice to still wear a mask. So, in other words, if you still chose to wear a mask, this was looked upon negatively, and they didn't want the other passengers, to give you the eye because you chose to wear a mask while wearing that flight. So this is, again, beyond my comprehension, and the reason why is because we are still going up on cases. Cases have increased by 40% in the last 2 weeks. We are now averaging about 39,000 cases a day, and that's up 43% from 2 weeks ago. And the cases are rising in 35 of the 50 states that we have now. So with this new variant coming out, with new cases coming out, this is just not the time to do that. The CDC had just recommended that we extend the mask mandate for at least another 2 weeks to get through this season before we really created a bad situation in the population once again. And this is just all the science is literally being ignored by the politics and personal choice options. People are being told that it's up to you and you can decide whether what your risk rate will be. And that's where we are with that, Ricky.
And, Dr. Collier, they said that if you have a mask on and you sit around people with no mask, you have about an hour. Even if you have the what's the mask the mask that's supposed to protect you the most?
N95.
Right. If you have on it, you say E95.
N.
Yeah, N. If you have on an N95 mask.
N95 and an N95. Yes.
Right. If you have those masks on and you sitting around people without masks and one of them have COVID, you only have an hour and a half protection. But if both people have on masks, you have 6 hours of protection. So you can do a Atlanta to L.A. or Miami to L.A., a long flight like that and still be protected. But without other people wearing masks and someone has COVID and you have on the best mask, you only have an hour and a half of protection. And is that factual to your knowledge, Dr. Collier?
Well, absolutely, because you're still getting exposed. The mask does not filter 100%. And more importantly, Ricky, remember, you're not covering your eyes. And one of the entry points of the COVID into your body is along the moist cornea of the eye. That's one of the receptors. So if you're not covering your eyes and wearing a mask, then every moment that you're exposed, the amount of virus that you're taking in increases, and you can get to a point where you have enough virus in your body to cause a disease state. So again, this is going to be an incredible. Now we're going to have the people that choose to wear masks versus the mask less. And oftentimes the people that are choosing not to wear the mask are the people of the population that have chosen not to be vaccinated. And they are, they have their, for whatever reason, political thoughts about that. And they just don't think that they should be worried about it. And they're getting sick.
I definitely recommend those small cans of Lysol. If you have to fly and you got those little small cans of Lysol and you can just spray it every 10, 15 minutes or something, just to kind of clean the air a little bit, I would definitely recommend that. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Okay, so my thought process is this. The people that were wearing them and so gung-ho about staying safe in the beginning, they're not wearing them anymore like they were in the beginning. They're wearing them where mandatory, and then where they're not required, they're taking them off. So, I mean, what are you really protecting? Either you're going to wear it at all times or you're not going to wear it at all.
I've been wearing the mask since this stuff came out. And it's crazy that these politicians want to sit here and debate about wearing these masks because everybody think this thing is over. This thing ain't over. The variant is coming back. They confuse themselves about wearing these masks, and they're not caring the well-being of the human beings, because if they did, they would tell them to keep wearing them.
I do public transportation, and I have to tell my people when they get in to make sure they have one, because I don't want you breathing on my neck and coughing on the back of my neck because you ain't got your mask on.
I think that you should keep wearing your mask, and yes, I'm going to wear my mask. You have asymptomatic people out here who are still carrying this virus who never get sick. Yes, it's hot. It's going to peak down. But when it gets cold and you've been around these individuals and you get sick, then what are you going to do? No, ma'am. Wear your mask.
Yeah, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Dr. Collier, there's a thing that's saying just because you can don't mean that you should. And if you got kids and you got elderly grandparents like I have or whatever, I got some bonus grandparents that I'm around. I'm around Miss Janie and different people. So let's just make sure that we have sense. If you're going to get on a plane and you're going to sit in that tube of recycled breath air, because by the time you breathe that air, the air has been in and out of people's mouths and butts several times. Because you breathe, I'm serious.
I was going to say, that's not the only air, Ricky. It's the other air as well that's contaminated with COVID virus. The lower GI tract air.
He said.
Yes.
Yeah. COVID is in gas. Yeah. It's in the gas that you release, and it's in your breath. If you're going to sit on a plane, you better get the best mask you can get and get the little small can of Lysol and use your own black folks common sense, what your grandmama taught you. I don't care what the government say or whatever. Sometimes, man, our freedom can become our bondage.
But you got to be careful when you spraying, though, Ricky, because people get mad. Because I did that, and I accidentally sprayed somebody next to me. I was like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. So when you get in your seat, just spray your little area, turn your blower on, and spray it, or act like you're going in your bag and just spray that spray.
On the low.
Act like you're going in your bag when you lean it down and just be hit it. Hit it several times. And all of a sudden, that whole area where you sitting, smelling, as long as you can smell that Lysol, you know that air is being clean. Does that make sense, Dr. Collier? Now help me out.
Now, that does make sense, Ricky, decontaminating the space. And I will state, again, on that flight yesterday, I'm wearing my N95 mask. Dolores is wearing her N95 mask. Every time you heard somebody cough or sneeze, you felt some kind of way about it. And it's because you knew that the air was being infected and contaminated. You cannot control that environment with that many people, and that air being, quote, circulated. Airplanes pride themselves on saying that they filter that air, but you cannot filter that air. It's just all of that air is not in the filter at one time. And it's constantly recirculating, so the virus and everything else is constantly. You smell those smells on the plane. That's not recirculated air.
And Gary, you make sure you keep your mask on because it make your chin look longer. Let's go. We got Ricky's Quickies. If y'all want, thank you, Dr. Collier. If y'all want to play Ricky's Quickies, you got 5 seconds. Dr. Collier, give us your disclaimer right quick.
These are the opinions of Dr. M.J. Collier, not those of Rickey Smiley, the Rickey Smiley Morning Show cast, or its production crew. Follow me on Facebook at Ask Dr. M.J. Go to my YouTube channel, Ask Dr. M.J. All right, Ricky, thanks so much.
There it is, man. Thank you, Dr. Collier, Rickey Smiley Morning Show.